I spent 3 years building what I thought was the perfect life. Sarah and I had picked out the venue, a beautiful winery in Willamette Valley. The invitations were designed. The photographer was booked. Everything was falling into place. My brother Tyler was going to be my groomsman, standing right there beside me. We had been close since childhood, or so I believed. I taught him how to ride a bike, helped him with homework, defended him from bullies. I never imagined the person who would destroy everything I built would be the same person I taught to ride a bike. Before we dive into what happened next, I would love to know where you are watching from. Drop a comment below and let me know your city or country. If this story resonates with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, because what I am about to share will make you question everyone you trust. Let me take you back to where it all started. Growing up in Portland, Oregon, Tyler and I were inseparable. I was the older brother by 3 years, and I took that role seriously. Our father, William, had built a construction company from scratch, with nothing but determination and calloused hands. Our mother, Patricia, worked as a nurse for 30 years before retiring. They taught us the value of family loyalty and hard work. Those lessons shaped who I became. Tyler struggled in school, so I helped him every night with algebra and history. When kids picked on him for being smaller, I stepped in. When he got accepted into law school, I was the first person he called. We celebrated together. When I became an architect, he told everyone how proud he was of his big brother. Sunday dinners at our parents' house were sacred. All 4 of us around the table sharing stories, laughing until our stomachs hurt. That was my family. That was my foundation. I met Sarah 3 years before everything fell apart. It was a random Tuesday afternoon at a coffee shop downtown. She was a kindergarten teacher, and she had this warmth about her that drew people in. Kids loved her. Parents loved her. I fell for her the moment she smiled at me over her latte. We started dating, and within months, I knew she was the one. She fit perfectly into my life, into my family. Mom adored her. Dad called her the daughter he never had. Even Tyler seemed genuinely happy for us. The proposal happened at the park where we had our first official date. I had planned it for weeks. Roses, candles, a guitarist playing her favorite song. She cried when I got down on one knee. She said yes before I even finished asking the question. That moment felt like the beginning of everything I had ever wanted. Wedding planning consumed us for months. We chose a winery with rolling vineyards and mountain views. Sarah spent hours designing invitations with delicate gold lettering. I handled the budget, making spreadsheets and calling vendors. We put down deposits for everything: the venue, the photographer, the band. $15,000 invested in one perfect day. Tyler offered to help with anything we needed. He said he wanted to be involved because family matters. Marcus, my best friend since college, would be my best man. Tyler would stand beside him as a groomsman. Everything was perfect. Everything made sense. Then things started changing in ways I could not quite name at first. Tyler began showing up at our apartment more frequently. 2, sometimes 3 times a week. He always had reasons he wanted to help with wedding planning. He wanted to spend more time with family before the big day. He missed hanging out with his brother. It all sounded reasonable. It all felt wrong. I would come home from work and find Tyler and Sarah sitting on the couch, laughing at some private joke. They would stop talking the moment I walked through the door. The silence that followed felt heavy, like I had interrupted something I was not supposed to see. Sarah started acting differently around me. She was distracted during conversations, always glancing at her phone. When I reached for her hand, she would pull away and say she was tired. Our intimate moments became rare, then non-existent. She blamed stress from work, from wedding planning, from life. I wanted to believe her. Tyler avoided eye contact during family dinners. He became quiet when I entered a room. These were small things, easy to dismiss individually. But together, they formed a pattern I could not ignore. One evening, I came home earlier than usual from a client meeting. Tyler's car was parked outside our building. I felt my stomach tighten as I climbed the stairs. When I opened the door, Sarah and Tyler were sitting on the sofa closer than siblings should sit. They jumped when they saw me, creating distance between them, like I had caught them doing something wrong. Tyler cleared his throat and said he was helping Sarah review a prenuptial agreement. Legal advice between family, nothing more. Sarah nodded quickly, her cheeks flushed. I wanted to believe them. I forced myself to believe them. But that night, lying in bed next to Sarah, I could not shake the feeling that something fundamental had shifted beneath my feet. The following week I noticed Sarah had changed her phone password. We had always known each other's codes. It was never about trust, just convenience. When I asked her about it, she exploded. "You do not trust me," she shouted, her voice sharp with defensiveness. I apologized immediately, feeling guilty for even questioning her. But the guilt did not erase the suspicion growing in my chest. Sarah started going out more often in the evenings. Parent-teacher conferences that ran late. Girls' nights that stretched past midnight. She always had explanations, and I always accepted them because what else could I do? Accuse my fiancé of lying without proof. That felt worse than ignoring the warning signs. Then Marcus called me one afternoon. His voice was careful, measured. "Hey man, is everything okay? I saw Sarah having coffee with Tyler yesterday afternoon. They looked close. Really close." My heart dropped into my stomach. I could barely form words to respond. Marcus continued, "I did not want to say anything, but I thought you should know. I confronted Sarah that evening. She did not get angry this time. Instead, she smiled and said they were planning a surprise for me. Something special for the wedding. She asked me to trust her, to let them keep this one secret." The voice inside my head screamed that something was wrong, but I silenced it. I chose to trust the woman I was going to marry. I chose to trust my brother. The company sent me to Chicago for 3 days to meet with a major client. Before I left, I casually mentioned to Sarah that Tyler had offered to check on her while I was gone. Her eyes lit up in a way I had never seen before. She caught herself quickly and said that was sweet, but unnecessary. That look stayed with me during the entire flight to Chicago. I could not focus on work. During presentations, my mind wandered. During dinner meetings, I found myself staring at my phone, wondering what was happening back home. On the second night, I made a decision. I booked a flight back to Portland without telling anyone. I needed to know. I needed to see with my own eyes that I was just being paranoid. I landed at 10 o'clock at night. The drive from the airport to our apartment felt like it took hours. Every red light was torture. When I pulled into our parking lot, I saw Tyler's car. My hands started shaking on the steering wheel. I told myself there was a reasonable explanation. Maybe he was dropping something off. Maybe Sarah had called him about a problem with the apartment. I climbed the stairs slowly. Our apartment door was unlocked. Inside, the lights were dimmed. Candles flickered on the coffee table. I could hear laughter coming from the bedroom. Sarah's laugh mixed with a deeper voice. I knew better than my own. Time seemed to slow down as I walked down the hallway. Each step felt like walking toward the edge of a cliff. I opened the bedroom door. Sarah and Tyler were in our bed. Clothes were scattered across the floor. They froze when they saw me, their faces transformed from pleasure to horror in a single heartbeat. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. The moment stretched out like a rubber band pulled to its breaking point. Tyler spoke first. "Monroe, I can explain." His voice sounded so far away, like he was speaking to me through water. I could not process what I was seeing. My brother, my fiancé, in the bed where I slept every night. I could not speak, could not think. I just turned around and walked out. Sarah ran after me, throwing on a robe. "Monroe, please wait. I am sorry. I am so sorry." Her voice was broken by sobs, but I could not hear her. All I could hear was the sound of my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. I got in my car and drove. I did not know where I was going. I just drove through Portland's empty streets, my hands gripping the wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. I ended up parked on the side of a highway, staring at nothing. I could not cry. I could not scream. I just felt numb, like someone had reached inside my chest and removed something essential. My phone rang constantly. Tyler's name, Sarah's name, Mom's name. I turned it off and sat in silence until the sky started turning gray with dawn. Marcus called at 2 in the morning from a different phone. "Where are you, Sarah?" called me crying. I told him everything in a voice that did not sound like my own. He told me to come to his place immediately. He did not ask questions. He just gave me his spare bedroom and a bottle of whiskey. The next morning, the calls started again. Tyler must have called 50 times. I did not answer. Sarah showed up at Marcus's house around noon, pounding on the door, crying so hard she could barely speak. Marcus talked to her while I stayed in the bedroom. I could hear her voice through the walls, begging to explain, begging for forgiveness. When she finally left, she slid a letter under the door. I read it that night. I never meant for this to happen. Tyler and I fell in love. We tried to fight it, but we could not. I am sorry for hurting you, but I cannot deny what I feel. The letter was 2 pages long, but those words were all I needed to read. She fell in love with my brother. They tried to fight it, as if that made the betrayal somehow more acceptable. Mom called the next day. Her voice was thick with confusion. "Monroe, honey, what happened?" Tyler said. "You two had a fight." I told her the truth. There was silence on the other end of the line for what felt like an eternity. Then I heard her crying. My strong, unshakable mother was crying. "Oh, baby, I am so sorry. Come home. Please come home." Dad was different. When I went to my parents' house that evening, his face was stone. He looked at me and said, "Tell me everything." So I did. When I finished, he stood up without a word and went to his workshop. I heard him throwing things, the crash of tools hitting the wall. Mom held my hand and cried. That was the moment I realized this had not just destroyed my relationship with Sarah. It had destroyed my family. Mom insisted on a family meeting. She called both Tyler and me, told us we were coming to dinner, whether we liked it or not. I did not want to go. I did not want to see Tyler's face. But I went for Mom because she was breaking apart trying to hold everyone together. Tyler arrived late. He could not look at me. We sat at the dinner table where we had shared thousands of meals, and now it felt like sitting in a stranger's house. The silence was suffocating until I broke it. Why? One word. That was all I could manage. Tyler finally looked up. His eyes were red, but I could not tell if it was from crying or lack of sleep. I did not plan this, Monroe. It just happened. We tried to fight it. The same words from Sarah's letter, like they had rehearsed their defense together. You tried to fight it. My voice was rising despite my efforts to stay calm. You could have walked away. You could have told me. You could have done anything except destroy everything. Sarah spoke up then. She had been sitting quietly in the corner. Tyler is a better match for me. I know that sounds cruel, but it is the truth. I should have realized it before I said yes to you. The knife went deeper. Not only had they betrayed me, but now Sarah was trying to justify it, trying to make it sound like I was the problem all along. Dad slammed his hand on the table, making everyone jump. How dare you, he said to Tyler, his voice shaking with rage. How dare you do this to your brother, to this family? Tyler's face changed then. The guilt disappeared, replaced by something uglier, resentment. You always loved him more. He always got everything. The praise, the attention, the perfect life. I was tired of living in his shadow. The truth finally came out. This was not about love. This was about jealousy. Tyler had spent our entire lives resenting me for things I never knew mattered. Every time I succeeded, he felt like he was failing. Every time Dad was proud of me, Tyler felt invisible. So he took the one thing he knew would hurt me most. I stood up from the table. I need time. I cannot be around this. I looked at Mom and Dad. I love you both, but I cannot be in the same room as him right now. I walked out of my childhood home wondering if I would ever feel comfortable there again. The next weeks were a nightmare of logistics and humiliation. I had to cancel the wedding. $15,000 in deposits gone. I had to call the venue, the photographer, the band, and explain that there would be no wedding. I had to tell 200 guests that the celebration was off. Some people asked why. I told them the truth. The looks of pity were almost worse than the betrayal itself. My family fractured along fault lines I never knew existed. Dad stopped speaking to Tyler completely. Mom tried desperately to maintain relationships with both of us, but it was impossible. Every conversation with her ended with her crying, torn between her two sons. Tyler and Sarah started dating publicly. They posted photos on social media like they were proud of what they had done. Friends and relatives whispered. Some took sides. Others just watched the drama unfold like it was entertainment. I fell into a dark place.